Section 1. The Fall and Escape. Survival and Sacrifice in the Face of Chaos. This section, which contains chapters 1, 2, and 3, focuses on the dramatic events surrounding the fall of Saigon, the escape from Vietnam, and the immediate aftermath. It captures the intensity, fear, and desperation of those final days, as well as the personal sacrifices made. Chapter 1. The Last Flight Out. The Last Flight Out recounts a dramatic and emotional chapter set during the final days of the Vietnam War, specifically on April 29, 1975. The narrative follows Nguyen Van Ba, a South Vietnamese Air Force officer, and his squadron, Loi Ton 237, as they navigate the chaos and danger of the last hours before the fall of Saigon. Duty and leadership in crisis. The story opens at Ton Son Nhut Airport, where Nam and his fellow pilots are anxiously waiting for orders. As the situation in Saigon deteriorates, Nam faces a critical decision about whether to flee or stay. Despite the overwhelming fear and uncertainty, Nam remains calm and committed to his duty, waiting for his commanding officer and ensuring his crew is ready for any eventuality. The chaos of war's end. As the North Vietnamese forces begin their final assault, the airport is bombarded with artillery, creating an atmosphere of panic. Nam witnesses other aircraft evacuating families of high-ranking officers and realizes the gravity of the situation. Despite the chaos, Nam decides to lead his crew to Vung Tau, believing it to be safer. Sacrifice and responsibility. Throughout the narrative, Nam is portrayed as a responsible leader who prioritizes the safety of his crew and their families. He carefully plans their departure, even taking the risk of returning to Saigon, hot zone, to rescue his wife and children. His actions reflect his deep sense of responsibility, not just to his family but also to his squadron. The personal cost of war. As Nam and his crew make their final escape, the story emphasizes the personal sacrifices made by those involved. Nam's final flight, which ends with him ditching his Chinook helicopter in the ocean to ensure his crew's safety, symbolizes the ultimate sacrifice, a leader who is willing to risk everything for the lives of others. Reflection and legacy. The narrative concludes with Nam reflecting on his journey, the loss of his country, and the sacrifices he made. Despite the chaos and the ultimate collapse of South Vietnam, Nam takes pride in having fulfilled his duty to the very end. The story ends on a poignant note, capturing the bitterness and sense of loss that came with the end of the war. Chapter 2. Operation Tong La Chan. Operation Tong La Chan tells the harrowing story of a critical military mission during the Vietnam War, focusing on the South Vietnamese Air Force Squadron, Loi Ton 237. The narrative centers on an operation at Tong La Chan, a strategically vital hill near An Loc, which became a key battleground during the intense fighting of 1972. The North Vietnamese launched a massive offensive aimed at capturing the hill to cut off South Vietnamese defenses and assert control over the region. The hill was defended by a small but determined unit of South Vietnamese Rangers who found themselves isolated and surrounded by enemy forces, making resupply and evacuation missions essential for their survival. Heroism and sacrifice in war. The pilots of Loi Ton 237 were tasked with a dangerous mission to deliver reinforcements and evacuate the wounded from Tong La Chan, knowing they would be flying into a heavily fortified area. The story vividly depicts the extreme risks they faced, including heavy anti-aircraft fire and the threat of enemy missiles. Despite these overwhelming dangers, the pilots demonstrated extraordinary bravery and a deep sense of duty, fully aware that their chances of survival were slim. Their willingness to undertake such a perilous mission reflects the spirit of sacrifice that defined their service during the war. Camaraderie and brotherhood. The narrative emphasizes the strong bonds of brotherhood that developed among the soldiers and pilots involved in this mission. These men were not only united by their shared experiences in battle, but also by the deep emotional connections that these experiences forged. Years after the war, these bonds remain unbroken, as evidenced by the reunion of the surviving squad members in California. This gathering underscores the lasting impact of their wartime relationships and the enduring camaraderie that continues to connect them. The impact of war on memory and legacy. The mission at Tong Le Chan left a lasting imprint on those who participated in it. The story reflects on how these events have continued to shape the lives and identities of the veterans involved. The sacrifices made, particularly by those who did not survive, are honored and remembered by their comrades. The narrative underscores the importance of preserving these memories as part of the veterans' legacy and as a testament to their courage. The tragedy and futility of war. The story does not shy away from depicting the grim realities of war, including the fear, tension, and tragic losses experienced during the mission. The deaths of crew members, whether from enemy fire or crashes, highlight the immense human cost of the conflict and the tragic futility of war. Overview, Chapter 3. Footprints of a Refugee. Footprints of a Refugee narrates the emotional and harrowing experiences of Nam, a South Vietnamese Air Force officer, during and after the fall of Saigon in 1975. The story captures Nam's journey from the chaos of the Vietnam War to his eventual escape and life as a refugee in the United States, highlighting the immense challenges faced by him and his family. The chaos of war and displacement. The narrative begins with Nam and his family fleeing the imminent collapse of South Vietnam. Amidst the chaos at Ton Son Nhut Airport, Nam manages to reunite with his wife and children, finding temporary relief on a U.S. Navy ship. The scenes depict the panic, confusion, and desperation as thousands try to escape the advancing North Vietnamese forces. Nam's sense of duty and leadership is evident as he navigates his family through the uncertainty, making quick decisions in life-threatening situations. The struggles of refugees at sea. Nam's experience aboard the ship is filled with tension and hardship. The ship, packed with refugees, sails away from the Vietnamese coast, symbolizing the irreversible break from their homeland. The story details the cramped and uncomfortable conditions on the ship, where refugees, including Nam's family, face a lack of basic necessities like food, clean water, and shelter. The emotional and physical toll of the journey is palpable, as Nam struggles to provide for his children, particularly his infant daughter who suffers without proper nutrition. Resilience and adaptation. Despite the hardships, Nam's resilience shines through. The narrative follows Nam's journey from the ship to refugee camps in Guam, and later to the United States. Each stop on this journey brings new challenges, whether it's the scarcity of resources in the camps or the uncertainty of their future. Nam's resourcefulness and determination to secure a better life for his family are highlighted as he navigates the bureaucratic processes, secures temporary jobs, and eventually transitions to life in America. Reflection on loss and new beginnings. The story is also a reflection on the immense loss experienced by Nam and many like him. As Nam leaves Vietnam, he reflects on the country he fought for, now lost to him forever. His journey is not just a physical one, but an emotional and psychological transition from a life of service and battle to one of survival and adaptation in a foreign land. The narrative ends on a note of cautious optimism as Nam and his family settle into their new life, carrying with them the scars of the past but also the hope of a new beginning.